Θα είμαι η επόμενη παρουσιάστρια, ομιλήτρια στο συνέδριο και η παρουσίασή μου θα γίνει στα αγγλικά. The title of my presentation will be Implementing the Curriculum for Teaching Greek as a Heritage Language, a Framework for Teachers, Lesson Plans, Scope, and Sequence. So in this presentation, in this presentation, my aim is to familiarize the audience with the philosophy and structure of the curriculum, also to show how to translate the curriculum principles into classroom practice, and also to present the scope and sequence models across different levels of the curriculum and provide ready-to-use lesson plan examples, and of course, connect the curriculum implementation with the heritage language vitality theory. We'll listen to Joseph Lovianco tomorrow. So we have a lot of curricula currently running in the United States. You are aware of all these. I won't take any more time to present each one, but I would try to answer to the question, why is it important to have a new curriculum? And I would say that the first reason is the declining intergenerational transmission of Greek, also the very limited instructional time we have in teaching Greek or any heritage language, and also outdated pedagogies used because mainly teachers are not qualified teachers. Also, we have high learner heterogeneity in proficiency and literacy. Christina mentioned that before in her presentation. And there is a mismatch between learners' home varieties and school Greek. This is very important because people there, they say, εγώ μιλάω χωριάτικα ελληνικά, δεν θέλω να μιλάω ελληνικά. So they're really, they don't feel comfortable about the variety of Greek they speak. And also, there was a need for community-based, motivating, proficiency-oriented instruction. These were the reasons why a new curriculum was needed. Also, why a new curriculum for teaching Greek as a heritage language? First, because of the heterogeneity of Greek heritage language learners. Also, the needs of heritage speakers living in the United States, because all the material we had wasn't grounded on the needs of this specific group. Also, the demand of a framework for standardizing Greek language teaching, because every school has its own teaching methods, its own material they use, so there was nothing uniform about teaching Greek, and this raises a problem on how to evaluate Greek. So when, for instance, Ελληνομάθεια comes there in the United States, there are various different levels, and it's not very helpful for standardizing teaching Greek. Also, we needed principles and descriptions grounded on the American experience. So in this curriculum, we use the American Council of the Teaching of Foreign Languages principles, and I'll talk a little bit further about that later. And also, we wanted to apply macro approaches to teaching and not only micro approaches, focusing mainly in grammar. We wanted also to have a genre, approach to teaching too. And the compilation of this curriculum was the result of the collaboration between my laboratory, the Synmorphos Laboratory, and the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America. And of course, this curriculum was written in collaboration with a close friend, Maria Mitsiaki. The purpose was to empower Greek heritage students from preschool to high school, so that was the age span, and also to provide with varieties of Greek, because when, for instance, we want to examine, when the students want to take part in the exams of Ελληνομάθεια, they're very afraid because they fear they speak another variety, not the one in which they will be evaluated. So this raises a very big problem. Also, we wanted to raise basic academic skills and familiarize, of course, them with the Greek culture. That was the main purpose of this curriculum. Of course, we know Greek heritage speakers and heritage speakers all around the world who are bilingual or emerging bilingual learners. They have a wide range of oral proficiency, with some of them speaking very well, but some other having very serious problems and difficulties. Also, there is an uneven literacy development, and writing is their weakest skill. There are strong affective ties to Greek culture. They are dialect speakers and sometimes translanguaging users within classroom. And of course, this means that one size fits all curricula does not work, not only in the United States, but never around the world. So, which are the theoretical foundation of the curriculum we compiled? First of all, we applied the heritage language pedagogy. Also, we employed the ACTFL World Readiness Standards. Our methods we use are task-based and content-based learning. We also have multi-literacies and genre-based instruction. We try to raise dialect awareness, and we try, connected with that, to have this critical language awareness, why the dialect I speak is not inferior, but at the same level with the standard Greek I have to learn. Now, I would like to mention a few words about this language vitality framework by Lobianco. So this framework is a tool aimed at assisting communities and governments in supporting regional and minority languages and promoting also national level policy development for language revitalization and usage. Three basic components: the capacity development, which pertains to the enhancement of language proficiency; the opportunity creation, which involves the development of opportunities for using the language in naturalistic settings; and third, the desire enhancement, which relates to the motivation to learn and use a heritage language. In our curriculum, we operationalize all these three dimensions. How? First, in capacity building, we do that through learning that also occurs outside of formal schooling, in informal settings where Greek is used for actual real-world communication in authentic communicative frames. And this, of course, supports language vitality because it creates learning paths that can easily take place within families, in formal settings, which may involve children in meaningful routines that develop lexical awareness and grammatical accuracy. Also, we have a wide range of genre and text types proposed in the curriculum and their corresponding grammatical analysis, and this raises students' capacity in Greek, building a broad repertoire of appropriate language to express various meanings in different situations. So students are invited to write or talk about real-world, cognitively challenging topics and texts. And also, we have a graded, goal-oriented approach. That was for capacity building. For opportunity, we consider that teaching Greek in Saturday schools only once per week, or even in daily schools for 3/4 of an hour for 4 days, it's not enough to learn Greek. And of course, Greek is not supported by the community. So, pedagogically building on the ACTFL's goal area of communities, this curriculum includes alternative community-based activities. So, we gain more time of teaching Greek by bringing teaching outside the classroom. So we create opportunities to use Greek beyond the classroom and to interact with members of their community or family in authentic situations. And so the curriculum seeks to offer heritage learners meaningful opportunities to use their Greek skills outside the classroom and bridge the gap between classroom language learning and practice in real-life community contexts. And about desire to speak Greek, so there is a shift from a grammar-centered approach to a more stimulating instruction, which motivates the heritage learners. Also, there is extensive IT use. For instance, children create web pages, blogs, etc., and also a functional use of social media in teaching, and that offers opportunities for meaningful dialogue and collaboration, thus increasing students' motivation and interest in the language and culture. And third, there is this promotion of dialectal awareness, which prepares students to understand variation and expanding their linguistic repertoire through the addition of other varieties, including the standard modern Greek and professional, of course, or academic styles, which are viewed as different but not superior and are functionally used in academic or professional settings. So this is how our curriculum connects with this vitality theory. Now, for the compilation of the curriculum, we used the methodology of Baudry 2016. We had at the first phase, we collected information and needs assessment for building arguments for the program's creation. So we listened to teachers and also to parents and all the stakeholders and also to students. Then we tried to find the resources. Then we offered professional development to teachers on how to use this curriculum, and this ran from 2021 to 2022. And then at the last phase, we defined the basic principles, purposes, and the context of the curriculum. Two different things. They can do statements, which include macro approaches in teaching, and also the linguistic phenomena, the grammar, let's say, and the vocabulary, the more structural part of the teaching, which includes the micro approaches in teaching. And we also have some anniversary content per syllabus for the 28 Οκτωβρίου, 25 Μαρτίου, Thanksgiving, because our children are Greek Americans and not only Greeks or Americans, and also Christmas, Easter, etc., etc. We have a curriculum which has 4 different syllabi for different or sub-curricula for different levels, for kindergarten, for novice, for intermediate low, and intermediate to high. And you can see here the different thematic units for each sub-curriculum. And we have a cyclical or spiral organization of the curriculum. So, for instance, we start the first unit in the preschool curriculum is Yasu, and we recycle that in the novice as γνωριστούμε with a more difficult vocabulary and grammatical structures, even more difficult in the intermediate low curriculum or the intermediate to high curriculum. So about the scope and sequence, the key principles we have is that we have this thematic recycling across years. We have a gradual increase in linguistic complexity. We have different textual genre. We have a quite demanding cognitive demand. We have also included academic language and continuous integration of community practices. As I said before, we used the ACTFL because we wanted to offer Greek language teaching grounded in the way students learn other languages in the American context. So this ACTFL system includes 5 different modules: the communication, cultures, connections, comparisons, and communities. We have all these 5 in how we build the can-do statements. So you can see that. You can see, for instance, here the επικοινωνία, communication, culture, and we have παραγωγή και κατανόηση load. So we have ερμηνεία and παρουσίαση and all that. And you can see we continue. We have the culture, comparisons, and then we have another table with the micro approaches, the grammar, the vocabulary, where we offer the context where communication can take place, the different genre and texts that are connected with that thematic unit, also the grammatical awareness, for instance, pronunciation, spelling, morphology, syntax, and vocabulary, and the learning strategies, intercultural awareness, and the dialectal awareness. We can see it here, for instance, how this is presented in the curriculum, a second table with the συγκείμενα, τύποι κειμένων, γραμματική επίγνωση, λεξιλόγιο. So this means that in this specific unit, students will have to learn only this vocabulary, only this grammar, etc., etc. Also learning strategies and the intercultural communication. And of course, at the end, we provide a list of material that teachers can use to frame their teaching. Now, about the scope and sequence concerning the text genre, in the kindergarten, we have songs, chants, labels, drawings. In the novice, we have short narratives, descriptions, lists. In the intermediate log, we have emails, interviews, reports, and then arguments, blogs, etc., etc. And I will skip that because I give in detail the scope and sequence in the different levels, the kindergarten, the novice, and the intermediate low and mid to high. Now, the can-do statements are used as proficiency benchmarks, performance indicators, and also provide examples of how they can be implemented in teaching. And educators can set daily learning targets and incorporate statements in lesson to make learning transparent so students know what they have to do and learn every learning. And learners set learning goals and chart their own progress by using these can-do statements. So we produce this evidence-based learning. Now, let's see exactly how we can pass from curriculum to lesson planning. First of all, teachers have to align with can-do statements so they can choose one or two can-do statements in order to make their lesson plans. They have to integrate at least 2 or 3 of the 5 ACTFL modules. They have to include meaningful tasks and lead to a product or a performance. For instance, in the theme My Family, they can choose the can-do statement, I can introduce my family members. Then, as input, they take family photos and short video. The task is to create a digital family poster. The language focus is on possessives and nouns, and the output will be an oral presentation. So this abstract curriculum can be implemented using these very specific lesson plans. The community-based learning in practice, we have interviews with family members, participation in cultural events, γάμους, βαφτίσεις. So they have to do, children have to do things over there and then go back to school and report on that. School exhibitions and performances, digital communities, blogs, social media, and all that. We try to do the lived Greek. And finally, the dialectal awareness in the classroom. So children recognize home varieties as legitimate. They compare dialects with standard Greek to arrive to general conclusions. They discuss language, power, identity. Why do I speak this language? Why my yaya and papus brought this language from the village they came, etc., etc. And of course, they try to expand their repertoire, but not replace it. And that's very important. What teachers need to succeed? They need to be curriculum literate. They have to be flexible. They have to collaborate with the community and the family, and they have to be reflective in practice, and they have, of course, they need ongoing professional development. I think the presentation of Eleni Griva and Yorgos Glachos and Spiros Bouras mentioned that very specifically. What's the impact on language vitality? We have stronger proficiency with this curriculum. That's what we've seen the 4 years we applied it in Illinois mainly and in Midwestern states. We have more effective use and we have a higher motivation and pride. But which are the implementation challenges? And I'm finishing. We have limited instructional time, even though we get teaching outside classroom at the community. We have teacher training gaps. There is a resistance to change. It wasn't very easy always to convince them to use this curriculum. There are heterogeneous classrooms. And of course, there is this easiness of books to be used as curricula. So teachers prefer to have books than having a curriculum and then having to implement some lesson plans. But in our view, curriculum is a supportive framework. It's not a script, so it helps teachers be more flexible. So, and this is my last transparency slide. What makes this curriculum different? First, it is proficiency-based but age-aligned. It offers explicit support for teachers, examples, and tasks. It is dialect inclusive and not stigmatizing. It is strong, there is a strong community orientation and also learning by doing and project-based learning. And there is a focus on meaning and form. Thank you very much, and I'm open to your questions in Greek or English. Και συγγνώμη για τη φωνή μου, είχα αφωνία πριν 2 μέρες, ήταν εντελώς κλειστή, σήμερα ευτυχώς τα κατάφερα και μίλησα. Ερωτήσεις, σχόλια?
Κάνω ένα σχόλιο, επειδή μου επιτρέπεις, Ζωή, επειδή ξέρω το πρόγραμμα, μπορώ να πω ότι είναι τόσο ευέλικτο και τόσο παιδαγωγικά τεκμηριωμένο που μπορεί να αποτελέσει ένα πλαίσιο για να αξιοποιηθεί και σε άλλα περιβάλλοντα. Ένας μπούσουλας για αξιοποίηση και σε άλλα περιβάλλοντα ελληνομάθειας.
Ελένη, ξέρεις τι πρέπει να κάνουμε τώρα για να συνεργαστούμε? Πρέπει να βάλουμε ομάδες φοιτητών μας, να κάνουν lesson plan στη λογική που έδειξα πιο μπροστά και για κάθε ενότητα να τα ανεβάσουμε μια συνεργασία του Πανεπιστημίου μας με το δικό σας και να είναι ένα υλικό που θα προσφέρουμε όχι μόνο στην εκεί κοινότητα, στην Αυστραλία επίσης, στον Καναδά, για να το χρησιμοποιήσει.
Εξαιρετική ιδέα. Ναι, πάρα πολύ ωραία ιδέα. Θα το συζητήσουμε και στο συνέδριο από κοντά.
Ναι, θα τα πούμε από κοντά στο δικό σου, όντως.
Ζωή, να ρωτήσω κι εγώ κάτι. Είναι σαφώς ένας πολύ σημαντικός πόρος, δεν υπάρχει αμφιβολία. Και όσο περισσότερα έτσι πλαίσια αναπτύσσονται, τόσο πιο πλούσια γίνεται και η εμπειρία όλων μας και ας πούμε η δυνατότητα να κάνουμε πράγματα. Και φυσικά έχει και πολλή δουλειά και πολλή λεπτομέρεια. Δηλαδή κάποιος που ξέρει από αυτά λίγο και καταλαβαίνει πόση πολλή δουλειά υπάρχει πίσω από τη δουλειά που κάνατε. Επομένως, μόνο κάτι πολύ θετικό είναι. Να ρωτήσω, από την εμπειρία σας στην πράξη, τι είναι αυτό που ας πούμε έχετε μάθει, τι είναι αυτό που αν ξεκινούσατε τώρα θα το πειράζατε κάπως? Το λέω σαν μια γενικότερη, δηλαδή με ενδιαφέρει το ζήτημα της πολιτικής, ας πούμε, δηλαδή τι είναι αυτό που η εμπειρία σας έχει τροφοδοτήσει από την ανάπτυξη όλου αυτού του συστήματος μέχρι την... είπες κάποια πράγματα, αλλά δεν ξέρω αν έχετε κάτι περισσότερο να πεις που θα μας ήταν ιδιαίτερα ενδιαφέρον και χρήσιμο.
Ναι. Το πρώτο που είδαμε είναι το υλικό, το βοηθητικό που έχουμε βάλει στο τέλος, είναι πολύ δύσκολο για τα παιδιά εκεί. Ή γιατί αν πάρουμε απλά βιβλία που μπορούν οι μαθητές των μεγαλύτερων τάξεων, που όμως δεν έχουν την απαιτούμενη ελληνομάθεια να τα χρησιμοποιήσουν, οι μαθητές παριούνται. Και αντίστοιχα, δηλαδή αυτό είναι το ένα. Δεν υπάρχει υλικό για να βοηθήσουμε να το κάνουμε implement αυτό το curriculum. 1. 2. Δεν είναι εύκολο να πείσουμε τους εκπαιδευτικούς εκεί να χρησιμοποιήσουν το curriculum. Γιατί προτιμούν το βιβλίο. Προτιμούν το βιβλίο που έχει το sequence κτλ. Δεν καταλαβαίνω ότι τους δίνει μια μεγάλη ανεξαρτησία να σχεδιάσουν διδασκαλίες ακριβώς όπως τους ταιριάζει εκεί. Αυτό ήταν ένα δεύτερο που είδαμε. Και το τρίτο, ότι όπου δούλεψε ήταν σε σχολεία εντός εισαγωγικών που τα υιοθετήσαμε, που πήγαινα πάρα πολύ συχνά, που είχαμε εβδομαδιαίες συναντήσεις, παίρναμε θεματική, φτιάχναμε τα μαθήματα, τα εφάρμοζα, ερχόμασταν, συζητούσαμε τι πήγε, τι δεν πήγε καλά. Αυτό βέβαια για να το κάνεις θέλει πολύ χρόνο, για να το κάνεις και να έχει να είναι scalar, δηλαδή να έχει μεγάλη κλίμακα, αλλά είναι ο μόνος τρόπος που μπορεί να δουλέψει.
Επομένως, θα έλεγες, ας πούμε, από την εμπειρία ότι μεγάλης κλίμακας αλλαγές είναι δύσκολες.
Πάρα πολύ δύσκολες, το ξέρουμε, το έχουμε δει. Αυτό φτάσαμε τα 50 μας για να το καταλάβουμε, αλλά ναι. Ισχύει. Και όλοι μας όσοι νομίζω εδώ ασχολούμαστε με αυτό εκεί κάπου έχουμε καταλήξει. Επίσης, Δημήτρη, το κομμάτι της ελληνομάθειας από το κέντρο, ένα ζήτημα είναι ότι τα παιδιά φτάνουν εκεί Β2, αλλά το Β2 τους δεν είναι το ευρωπαϊκό Β2 ή το ελληνικό Β2, είναι πιο χαμηλό και δυσκολεύεται πάρα πολύ, τους δημιουργεί μια πολύ μεγάλη. Και αυτό θέλει adjustment.
Ναι.
Αλλά όπως είπες, ό,τι υλικό υπάρχει είναι πολύ χρήσιμο, δηλαδή χρειάζονται.
Ναι, γιατί ενδεχομένως να χρειάζεται να πάμε για όπως είπες και εσύ, άλλη εκπαιδευτική έτσι, άλλη εκπαιδευτική αλλιώς, να πάμε στην παροχή περισσότερων πόρων και για να το συνδέσω λίγο με το agency που είπαν πιο μπροστά οι ομιλήτριες, ας πούμε, να μπορούν οι εκπαιδευτικοί να βρουν πράγματα που είναι πιο κοντά στις ταυτότητες και στις δυνατότητες των πραγμάτων που μπορούν να κάνουν. Ενδεχομένως αυτό θα βοηθήσει. Και είναι πολύ καλό που, ας πούμε, αναπτύσσονται τέτοιες πρωτοβουλίες, γιατί μέχρι πριν από λίγο δεν είχαμε τίποτα και επομένως βοηθάει και μαθαίνει και οποιαδήποτε ομάδα ασχοληθεί από εκεί ύστερα μαθαίνει μία από την άλλη. Είναι κρίσιμο να αναπτύσσουμε, ας πούμε, τέτοια και ιδιαίτερα όταν είναι πλαίσια.
Και εμείς όταν δουλεύαμε όλο αυτό, πήραμε υπόψη ό,τι άλλο υπήρχε πιο μπροστά. Υπήρχε το αναλυτικό πρόγραμμα που είχε κάνει το Ίδρυμα Μανώλη Τριανταφυλλίδη με την Αρχιεπισκοπή. Υπήρχε η δουλειά του κέντρου, πάρα πολύ υλικό κτλ. Υπήρχε ένα υλικό που είχε κάνει η Μαρίνα Μαθεουδάκη στο Odyssey Charter School. Δηλαδή, ό,τι υπήρχε το είδαμε τι δούλευε, τι δεν δούλευε και προσπαθήσαμε να κάνουμε κάτι που θεωρούσαμε ότι θα μπορέσει να δουλέψει καλύτερα.
Αν υπάρχει κάτι άλλο να ρωτήσω και κάτι σε σχέση για τη γλωσσική ποικιλότητα, με τις διαλέκτους και όλα αυτά, πώς το προσλαμβάνουν?
Δουλεύουμε λοιπόν, κυρίως δουλεύει αυτό σε επίπεδο λεξιλογίου αρχικά και μετά σε επίπεδο γραμματικής. Για παράδειγμα, έρχεται το παιδάκι και πάει να κλείνει για να πιάσω τη γραμματική πρώτα, πάει να κλείσει το email και λέει ίντουσαν, ήσαντε κτλ. Και ο δάσκαλος μάλλον παλιό, όχι, είμαι, είσαι, ήμουν, ήσουν, ήταν κτλ. Οπότε εκεί δεν έχεις αυτό, δεν λες ναι. Πράγματι, όταν ήρθαν οι παππούδες, οι γιαγιάδες, στην περιοχή που ήταν, μιλούσαν αυτό το κομμάτι. Και εσύ μπορείς να το χρησιμοποιήσεις αυτό όταν είσαι με τη γιαγιά, τον παππού, μαμά και παπά. Όταν θα πας στην Ελλάδα, όμως, αν θα πας στην Αθήνα, άμα το πεις μπορεί να μην σε καταλαβαίνουν. Άρα υπάρχει και αυτός ο τύπος. Έτσι, σε αυτό το στυλ, ακριβώς γιατί πραγματικά ξέρω μεγάλο κόσμο που λέει πω εγώ μιλάω χωριάτικα ελληνικά, ντρέπομαι να μιλήσω. Και δεν το θέλουμε αυτό. Θέλουμε να μιλήσουν.
Ωραία,
και μετά
πολύ.
Στο λεξιλόγιο. Το αχλάδι, το απίδι, ξέρω κι εγώ και όλα αυτά.
Ευχαριστώ πολύ, Ζωή.
Και εγώ. Δεν ξέρω αν υπάρχουν άλλες ερωτήσεις. Αν δεν υπάρχουν άλλες ερωτήσεις, το session αυτό τελειώνει και μπορούμε να πάμε στα άλλα δύο, στο session 2 και session 3, που αυτή τη στιγμή τρέχουν παράλληλα. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ όλους τους ομιλητές που σεβάστηκαν τον χρόνο.
Εμείς ευχαριστούμε.
Και βέβαια το κοινό για τις ερωτήσεις. Ευχαριστούμε πολύ.
Γεια σας.
Να είστε καλά.
Σας ευχαριστούμε, Ζωή.